Turkey hunting is fun for us here at Outback Outdoors. It's really that first hunt. You know, we go through the winter, go through show season, and it's our first chance to get out and pull the bows out. Usually we're shooting our newest bow for that year and take the fight to them. This year it was kind of special though. I had an opportunity to take my wife and my daughter. Now I've been married 13 years and my wife's never been on a hunt with me. She's not a hunter, loves wild game, loves to cook it, but she's not a hunter. So my 6-year-old has been wanting to go hunting with me. So what a perfect opportunity for a child. Put them in a blind, let them see a lot of wildlife and have a great time. Introduce them that first good experience. You know, usually the weather's pretty warm. That first good experience in the outdoors, and Swanson Lake was the place to take them.
Outback Outdoors is brought to you by Hoyt. Get serious, get Hoyt. Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls, home of bugling bull game calls. We call the game. Gold Tip with smart carbon technology. Spot Hog Archery, the world's toughest archery products. GoLight, revolutionary lighting solutions. Bowhunting.net, the web's #1 bow hunting site since 1996. Hamsky Archery Solutions. Maximize your accuracy. Rage Broadheads, the revolutionary rear-deploying broadhead. S4 Gear, meeting the demands of nature and those that tame it. Winner's Choice custom bowstrings. And Hex, the evolution of concealment.
Opening morning, it was dark 30, and it was so cool because Sandy with the camera and my daughter Avery, 6 years old mind you, we snuck into the blind. It's pitch dark. We got settled in the blind. I got Avery in her heater bodysuit so she was nice and warm, and the turkey started to wake up. So the birds pitched out at first light, just according to plan. And we got an opportunity to watch them. They're about 150 yards, 200 yards to the east of us. Soon these two jakes started working right towards us. So I did some soft calling, and unfortunately, they left the field. I thought the morning was over when those birds left the field. They didn't come to the call. So I tried a few more calling sequences. And all of a sudden, off to the right, about 200 yards down the field edge, a big tom steps out. Finally, the bird works in, hangs up about 70 yards, and then with a few little soft purrs, here he comes. Comes right into about 25, 30 yards. I draw back, sure to take my time. Anchored, I release. Whack! Sounds good, birds hit hard. Doesn't go right down, kind of does the old weeble wobble and works off and stands right at the edge of the field, probably about 70 yards away, and I can tell he's hit pretty good. I knew I hit him a little bit low, but he ends up, after about 15, 20 minutes, he ends up working back into the brush. Okay, let me set the scene. Here I've shot a turkey. Now, what a great teaching tool. I'm gonna let that turkey sit for a little while, then I'm gonna take my daughter and I'm gonna explain everything as we do it. So Avery, the last time we saw this bird, it came right through here, so what these turkeys will do is they'll go and get in the brush pile and kind of burrow themselves in when they're hurt. But did you know that there's an old Indian trick? If you find a feather, put it in your hat, it brings you good luck.
I didn't.
Should we go find this bird? Okay, come on. Look, in all the little brush piles, because those, I mean, a turkey could get right in there and you could hardly even see him because that grass is so tall. Knowing exactly where the bird is, I kind of let her work us up to where it is, and then when we're within about 10 yards, I say, okay, now look around real good. Does that look like an arrow? And there's turkey feathers. You want me to go get him? I'll pull him out. Okay, I think he's pretty much a goner, so I'm gonna set my bow down here, put my broadhead over here. So I reached down to grab that old Tom's leg and pandemonium. I mean, it went nuts. Bird wasn't dead. Okay, well, it's not dead. I better go get him. Well, I spent the next 35, 45 minutes trying to pick the trail up of that bird, and I saw exactly where I thought he went. Of course, I left Sandy and Avery back, and I went to follow that bird, recover that bird, and that bird wasn't as wounded as I thought it was. Okay, so the story here goes, even with a bird that's dead, one must make sure he doesn't put his bow down and make sure the animal's dead before he sends his daughter in to go retrieve it. It was bleeding a little bit, but then I ran out of blood, and then we came to this marsh, and he must have flown over that slough, because I never saw hide nor hair of him again, and we looked hard. So we headed back to the lodge, eat some lunch, and we were going to get ready for the afternoon hunt. The day before, we'd set up a blind on a food plot, and it tended to kind of be a loafing area for early to late afternoon for a lot of these toms. It would come out kind of a strut zone. And so we got in there in plenty of time and set up. We were actually sitting there probably in less than an hour, and I looked up and I see two jakes coming across the food plot.
In the afternoon, Dad's about to shoot a turkey. There's two. He's gonna shoot one.
And when these birds came in, they kind of circled around us and headed into the grass behind. So I grabbed my call real quick and I just hit some real soft calls and looked around the edge of the blind, and sure enough, here they came. They finally got in, she was on camera. I went ahead and came to full draw, and at about 22 yards, I took the first jake, dead center. The bird didn't go far, grabbed it, brought it back, and Avery was excited. And of course, I was tickled to see her excitement. She came out of the blind, and we looked at the bird, and we looked at the head and the spurs and the different feathers. I showed her how to fan the feather, and we took some pictures. What a great moment. I mean, that was a memory I'll cherish for the rest of my life. You know, hunting to me is a legacy. It was passed down to me. I want to pass that down to my daughter, and that's why this first turkey hunt is something we'll have for the rest of our life as a cherished memory. And hopefully it will help me pass that legacy on down to Avery. What a great hunt. Thanks for watching. We'll see you down the trail on Outback Outdoors.
Don't miss next week's show as Outback Outdoors joins forces with Pacimaroy Pictures to present their 2012 Full Draw Film Tour submissions. Before the break, Outback Outdoors founding member Trevin Stoltzfus had an exciting family turkey adventure in Nebraska at Swanson Lake Ranch. Now let's head up north of Montana as Jim Brennan gets in on the Thunder Chicken action.
We've been driving around for 2 hours and we finally got a bird on this national forest here, so give up about 200 yards and we're gonna set up here. It sounds like there might be 2 of them right down here. Well, it's been quiet for an hour, so I took a walk up this ridge. The sun came out, ran into 2 hens, looped back around, and I got that bird gobbling again. He's still up on top of that far ridge though, so maybe now midday, it's about 10:30. If he's with hens, hopefully he's gonna leave them and he might come over here, so I'm gonna give it a shot. So patience, been sitting here for 3 hours. You just got to do that sometimes, especially in this big open areas that we're hunting. There's not a lot of birds, so you got to work hard for them. So hopefully in the next half hour we'll get on a bird here. It took us an hour being within 100 yards of those birds. We thought there was a tom and 2 jakes. Finally worked their way up, and then an hen popped out too. Hoping there was a tom there. That worked perfect. It took a while, but they came. Maybe that guy's starting the bonfire now. Shut that tom up. I'm gonna take that Jake. It's been a tough spring so far, and I only got a couple days left before bear season in Alberta, so he's only at 20 yards. That he just dropped like a rock. I wasn't gonna shoot a Jake, but it's been tough. The weather's cold. Warren's with me, so I gotta kill a Jake.
I've never seen one do that.
Take the pressure off of him. I gotta be in Alberta next week, so I only got a few days left, and it's bear season here. We thought there was a tom, but it just didn't work. But there was no tom, it's just those 2 Jakes. Now there's 1 Jake.
Nice job, buddy.
That was a good fun. Yeah, just stoned him. I'm gonna go grab my bird and see where I hit him. He dropped like a stone. I put it right by his beard. I think I went just through and through him. Shish kebabbed him. He's just a little feller, so we just stayed on him. He gobbles 200 times less than 150 yards from us, but I finally shut up and let him come look for us, and they worked their way up here with a hen. I said the season's getting late. It's still fun shooting these things with the bow. It worked great. The decoys brought them back a second time. We got just such great footage, I had to take a shot. So looks like finally I had a camera guy today, so tomorrow I'd be on my own again, so I'm happy with it.
Now let's send it back to Nebraska as the Outback Outdoors team gets ready for round 2 of turkey hunting at Swanson Lake Ranch.
Well, we are headed to Nebraska. I'm excited. Kind of the first group hunt of 2012. Pretty excited. Rock and roll.
Mosquitoes are terrible. We're in Nebraska here, Swanson Lake Ranch. It's just got light. The turkeys just been out into the field, and they're probably 200, 250 yards down the field. We kind of set them in a funnel in this field. It's the closest pinch point. And these turkeys will come. We've got about 6 decoys really close to the blind out in front of us. We're going to do some really light calling. And hopefully we get a big old tom within range. We'll see what happens.
These birds were feeling good. The weather had been kind of rainy, and actually the night before there were some big storms. And the sun was shining, it was gonna be a nice day, and the birds were loving it. So they were out and they were full strut, and we were getting some really good B-roll of some birds, you know, with the long lens, some birds strutting and doing it what turkeys do. I hadn't called but a couple of times, and we heard 3 gobbles in the trees just off of the field edge. With just a little bit more coaxing, finally a gobbler stepped out right on that field edge, but he was still about 90 yards away. We had about 6 decoys set out, and I called a little bit more, and he moved just a little bit and stopped. It took him about 25 to 30 minutes to finally get within range. Now this bird came in, gobbled just a little bit, didn't do the performance that we wanted with the full strut. He puffed up a little bit, but finally he came in to within 40 yards. Grady got on him with the camera, let me know. I pulled back, anchored, relaxed, and let it go.
He's right at 40. He stopped. Tell me when you're on him. Tell me when you're on him. I need him to stop. I think he's dead. Here, high five. Nice job.
I jumped out, knocked another arrow, went over there as he started to move a little bit, and having lost a bird earlier this year, I went ahead and put another one in him, but we had our first tom of the hunt on the ground. How fun is this? What a way to get your season off, spend some quality time with friends. We're on Swanson Lake Ranch, playing around with this new jackknife from S4 Gear. That's a nice tom. Got 7/8, maybe an inch long spurs on him. This is fun. This is a nice bird, you know. And he stood out there. He was all by himself, kind of. I think they have already separated from the hens, and hens are going to probably nest. And boy, they were gobbling back in the trees, and we just a little bit light calling. And well, finally he came in. He was 40 yards right on the dot. And Drew took my time. We finally got it done. Awesome. I'm excited. Swanson Lake Ranch, Nebraska. I wonder how our compadres are doing. Adam and Kyle. They're a little bit west of us. Said they had some birds around them. Let's see how they're doing. Awesome. Now Adam and Kyle hadn't had a whole lot of success. They'd seen some hens but no toms. So we met back, took some pictures, you know, did all that stuff, and made a plan for that afternoon's hunt. Now we had to be out of there by 4 because we were going to the appointment to speak in McCook. But I wanted to run camera with Kyle now that I had killed and was tagged out, and gave Grady an opportunity to go get some film on Adam on his afternoon hunt.
Don't miss next week's show as Outback Outdoors joins forces with Pacimaroy Pictures to present their 2012 Full Draw Film Tour submissions. Before the break, things were heating up for the Outback Outdoors team. Let's rejoin them as they continue their hunt for turkeys in Nebraska.
With the action that Trevin had Friday, I decided to jump in the same blind Saturday. And the birds were there. They were thick, but nothing came within range, not even close to within range. The birds left the field after a few hours that morning, and I had to get the blind moved off the field. We're getting ready to farm that ground. We're going to try to get some alfalfa reestablished in there. So I recruited Grady's help to haul that heavy blind off the field. We got it set up over in the northeast corner, and that was actually the corner that the birds seemed to be coming in and out of. We got the blind moved, set back up, and we were going to sit out for the duration of the day. As we settled in for the afternoon, we had to watch the clock. We had our appointment with the McCook Bow Hunting Association where we had to speak. The absolute latest I could be in that blind was till 4 p.m. So as we're watching the clock and watching the field, I see a gobbler show up. He's just moved up to the edge of the field and he laid in the shade. Just laid down about 150 yards away. We're watching this gobbler, trying to hit him with a few calls, trying to get his attention. And he'd occasionally stand up and strut and then lay back down in the shade, just taking his time, enjoying life. And I was watching the clock going, is this bird going to come in or is he going to sit on the other end of this field all day? He was about 150 yards away, laying in the shade. I'd try to hit him with some calls. I'd occasionally get his attention, get him to stand up and strut, and he'd lay right back down in the shade. And after about 3 or 4 of these sequences, he finally started working his way towards us. And about 70 yards out, he laid down again. Finally, he started walking our way. He got about 70 yards out and he laid down on us. I'm watching the clock, watching the bird. He gets up, comes into 40 yards, and then lays down again. Well, he finally got up when he was 40 yards out, and we were out of time, but he kept coming in, coming in, coming in. At 30 yards, I was clear. Grady was on him with the camera. I let the arrow fly in just the nick of time. It was 4 o'clock and we had to run. Spring turkey hunting for me out here at Swanson Lake Ranch is a very special time of year. It's not just the turkey hunt, the excitement of calling in those birds, it's all the wildlife that you see. All the migratory birds, all the songbirds displaying, all the deer that you're seeing come out. It's just a magical time and something I cherish and look forward to every year.